So we said that the union of the mishkal, of the matkala, is that the spheres were top to bottom. It wasn't in this triangular structure of left and right and middle, which happened later on. So the Safed Tznius says that as long as that structure of left, right, and middle did not exist, I mean, there was no possible for relationship, for interrelationship, and Mimela, there also was no, there was no, just one second, I'm just trying to look at something. Okay, all right. Hold on just one second. All right, sorry. We said initially that, and this is a point that Rabbeinu speaks in the Torah, that the reality of Chava is a later stage. In the very beginning, Adam and Chava were one entity, and they were back to back, which means they were one entity, and Adam was looking one way, and Chava was looking the other way. This is a mashal and a euphemism for the situation before the tikkun. I mean, back to back is as strange and as estranged as one can possibly be from one another. You know, like they said the word in Hebrew, achzar, which means cruel. Literally, it means ach zar. It's just a stranger. That you treat somebody else like a stranger. This is the union of achzarius, of cruelty. Now, it is also, we also mentioned, I believe, I hope, that the world was created, when the world was created, the spheres were created in two distinct shapes. One of them is the spheres, the igulim, which are concentric circles, one within the other. And the one on the outside is the kesed, the one inside it is the chokhmah, and then is the bina, and then is the, and so forth and so on, all the way to the malchus, which is in the middle. This is one shape. The second shape is what they call spheres de yosha, the straight sphere, which is, as we said, right and left in the middle. And the difference between the two is that the sfirot de igulim, the sfirot of circles, denotes the world of nature, as it were. In other words, the thing that typifies a circle is that every single point around it is equally distant from the center, no matter where you go. That means that every single creation, be it a man or an ant or a horse, each one is equally perfect to be what it needs to be. In other words, a horse is perfectly a horse as you are perfectly a person, and an ant is perfectly an ant. All this is expressed in the image of the sfirot of igulim, a bullseye kind of thing, a circle within a circle within a circle. It is also a world where there is no direction, because a circle doesn't begin anywhere. Hold on just one second. A circle doesn't begin anywhere, and it doesn't end anywhere. It just continues. But so that denotes the fact that the world, there's a possibility of looking at the world the way the people that call themselves the rationalists or the philosophers or whatever it is to look at the world and say, all we see is nature. We don't see good or bad, or just things are just what they are. There's the existentialist point of view of nature. This is enabled so they will have let me just a second. So they will have a kiyum and a bechira to choose what it is that they want to believe in. When we're talking about the spheres, the Yosha, we're talking about this is when the matkala, when the mishkal, the weighing of the different possibilities, the different choices has been created, the right and the left and the middle. You're talking about a line that is going from top of the circles, which is called the Chalapanai, and it's going down. It doesn't go all the way down, but it go almost all the way down. And these are the Sefirot that are going, from Keser, Chochma, Bina, then they have Chesed, Gvur, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yisod, Malchus. That's all the way down. Now, whenever you're talking about a line, you have a direction, you have a distance, which means you have a value. If you started a road, the first step, you're close to the beginning, you're far from the end. But every single step takes you towards the end. It does not exist in a circle. Relationship, as we said before, is not possible in the world of spheres the Igulim. When Chava and Adam were one thing, Chava essentially was a part of Adam. It's very same way that your hand and your arm is a part of you. You can't have a relationship with your hand unless anybody's seen Dr. Strangelove, but you can't have a relationship with your hand because it's you. So Chava already existed, but she was part and parcel with Adam Arishon, which means there's no development there. There's no growing possible. The only way that growing is possible is when there's a relationship possible. And this is when you take Adam and Chava and you separate them. And when so the relationship is basically achar ba'achar. It's like Adam is taking Chava, for granted the very same way that a person can take his arm for granted. By the way, that's one of the reasons for so many possible problems in relationships, because people retreat to the state of taking each other for granted. There's especially a tzara for men for that, and especially a tzara for women for that. As long as they get whatever it is they want, whatever it is that they need, whatever it is that they desire for one another, you can jump in the lake. I don't care what happens to you. It's very easy to fall back into that. This is the state of Shvi. It inevitably leads to breakage. It's the very same way the primordial spheres have broken. Rabbeinu says afterwards that people wonder, why do you have to go to the tzaddik to hear Torah from him? And Rebbe says, when you get the Torah from the tzaddik, as we'll explain later on, you're getting something very, very special. You're getting the Torah from a face which is totally clean. And the process that this Torah is based on is the process of cleaning one's face, as it were. Cleaning the face, Rabbeinu says, depends on the perfection of Loshon Kodesh. How do you perfect Loshon Kodesh. So the Rebbe starts and he says, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu separated Adam and Chava, what he did, Chava was the concept of dibur, of speech. The concept of speech is one where it enables a person, obviously to interconnect and communicate with his, with people and with his wife, but ultimately it enables a person to connect to Kadosh Baruch Hu. This is the main kavana of the Yin of Dibur, because otherwise there is no shaykhs between a human being and a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Kadosh Baruch Hu is beyond thought, is beyond concept, and the only way that you can grasp a Kadosh Baruch Hu is through Emunah, and the only way that you can talk to it, you can interact with the Kodesh Baruch Hu, is through Dibur. And as will learn a little bit later on, they're actually both one and the same. Chava Isha, Chava is Mishon Laila Laila Yechevedas. A night to a night will express Das. The Dibur is the thing that gives you the Das. And then you have Lazois Yikora Isha. Adam calls Chava Isha. At that particular point in history, as it were, the ancient languages, we said before, did not have, similar onomatopoeic kind of words for men and women. They're totally different names for male and for female. It's like in French you have homme and femme. It's not. There's no connection between the two. And we said that the confusion that actually got, everybody initially was speaking Loshon Kodesh, and during the Dor Aflaga, with the Migdal Bavel, they built the Tower of Babel. The Kadosh Baruch Hu confused their languages, and everybody was, then they lost the Shachas Loshon Kodesh, but nevertheless they still have a Negia or Loshon Kodesh. So in many of the foreign languages today, the male and female are also Negia to one another. But the Loshon Kodesh, which is the Loshon with which the world was created, the word Isha is a conjugation of the word Ish. So this is obviously Mikansha Nivra Olam Loshon Kodesh. Again, we're talking about Chava is Dibur, Chava is Isha. They're both talking about Dibur, and they're both talking about Loshon Kodesh. It's not just Dibur, but it's a Dibur Kodesh. You're talking about a holy Dibur. A holy Dibur, as we said before, this is a way for a human being to communicate with his creator, because otherwise you have no shaykhs with him, because he's totally beyond grasp. Chava is also the union of Emuna. Emuna is the Malchus. Malchus Spade is the Dibur. Through Emuna, you're connecting to Kodesh Baruch Hu. Through Dibur, you communicate with him. And it is through the Dibur that he communicates with you. One of the things that we will learn in the story later on is that as you perfect your level of Loshon Kodesh, you are actually creating the words with which HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks to you. As we'll go along. So Mimela, the tzaddik, is somebody who has reached Loshon Kodesh to such a perfect degree. What happens is that he is building the dibur. Giborei koyach, says the pasuk, those of mighty power. Oise dvoroi, they are constructing, they are building, they are making the dibur of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Lishmoa b'kol dvoroi, in order to be able to hear what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying to them. So therefore, when you look in the face of the tzaddik and you hear Torah from him, you're hearing a Torah with words that he has built, and we'll see how this is done, directly from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So you're getting it literally from the source. So the effect is staggering. It puts amazing Yir Shemaim to anybody who hears it from him. Now, as it goes down one madrega after another, of course, it lowers. It's a step down mechanism as it goes. Now, we're saying that it is through the Loshon Kodesh that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu has elevated us and lifted us above all the other nations. So, Mimela, here we're talking about this Loshon Kodesh. There's the perfection of the speech. On the other side, you have Lashon Sa'akum, Lashon Sa'amim, which represent the total corruption of the Dibur. And immediately the Rabbeinu says that every single nation on earth has its own midara. Every nation has its own specialité. This one is a very good thief, and this one is a very good con man, and this is each one has his own whatever. He says, but Rabbeinu says, however, they all have one total taiva that brings them all together. And that's the common denominator that runs through all the nations of the world, all the Lashonis of the world. And that, of course, is taiva sniyuf. That's the taiva for fornication, for immorality and promiscuity. And what that today they say is, everybody says, hey, this is total normal. And then, of course, they get corona. So what happens is that the Loshon Kodesh is that instrument with which the Lashonis Ha'akum are being defeated. There's a constant war going on between the two. Lashonis Ha'akum, as we'll learn further on, this is the Nachash, this is the Tumah, wants to live, it wants to exist. It wants to suck life force from the Kedusha. Because the Kedusha is the only bar in town. You can't get a drink anywhere else. You can't get sustenance anywhere else except from the Kedusha. So the Kelipot are trying to attach themselves to the Kedusha so they can siphon off life force to the Tum'ah. That's the war that is constantly going on between the two. So Rabbeinu says that there is a very special time of confrontation, and that time is, this is where we got to last week, that particular time is Erev Shabbos. Erev Shabbos is the time when, during the week, the Malchus, it says, Raglea Yordas Mavis, the legs, the feet of the Malchus are involved in the inyanim of this world, in the business of this world. Inyan Achal. On Shabbos, the Malchus leaves, it gets out of of the tum'ah, and it goes up to the kedusha. Now the malchus, this is the intermediary. That's the connecting point. That's the interface with which the kelipot are trying to get the chayos from the kedusha. When there's a problem with the malchus, this is when they latch on. Now, right next to the malchus, the interface with the malchus, there is basically a sphira, which is there's a klipa, which is a husk, which is an intermediary. That's the ambassador. And underneath it come the three totally defiled kelipot, which is ruach sara, anan godol, esh mislakachas, and then noiga. This is a storm wind, a great cloud. Esh mislakachas is a very interesting definition, because what it means is self-taking fire. Mitlakachat, Loshon Lokeach. Mitlakachat means it's self-taking. Usually a fire is something that takes something else, that consumes something else. Esh mitlakachas is, as somebody is trying, let me just see if everybody's here. Hold on just 1 second. Avi, you can put on your camera, man. Let's take a look at you. Avi's iPad. Okay. Hold on just 1 second. All right. So all these three kelipot are the definitions of what happens to a person when he's giving in to the particular type of immorality. First of all comes the ruach sara. A person is agitated. A person needs a release. A person is in pain. A person is bored. A person he needs something. He needs a stimulus. He needs security. He needs to run away. Whatever it is that he needs. If he's unable to sort of like scale things down within himself, reconcile himself, the way he is and his ideals. I think the psychologists call it reconciling the ego with the super ego. Is that right, Hilo? We have a professional here. I better be very careful. Anyhow, I'm sorry. Hold on just 1 second. What are you saying?
You're talking about Freud's thoughts. So there's three levels. There's the id, which is the drive, ego, which is the self-governance that is to protect the self, and the superego is really the internalization of, I guess in this case, it would be internalization of shame or embarrassment, etc. So the 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 need for reconciliation is to build strength in the ego, which is the self-control mechanism, rather than simply thinking that one should control themselves because of embarrassment.
So basically, what we're doing the way I'm trying to do here is to explain it is the superego is the values that you got from your parents, from society, or whatever it is. It tells you that ideally that's the way things should be. Okay, the ego is supposedly where you are, your cognition, where you live. Okay, the dissonance between the two, how far you are from the ideals that you're supposed to behave according to, this is the thing which produces the shame. Now, when the shame happens, what happens is this goes down to the id and to the id, and this is where you're looking for solutions. Solutions can either be anger, or can be looking to cool it down with various forms of escape, usually uh, uh, mismanagement and misbehavior and immorality. This is what is being used. So the first thing is the ruach sa'ara. That's the agitation. You can call it shame. You can call it fear. You can call it whatever it is. That's the drive that gets you into it. The second klipa, the second totally tumadika klipa that hides the consequences of what's going to happen should you actually allow yourself to enter that realm. It is a certain darkness that you're stepping into. That's the Anan Gadol. That's a great cloud. It's a darkness. On one hand, it's extremely scary. It's an extremely lonely feeling. No, nobody else exists in the world except for you. On the other hand, it allows you, it enables you to totally disregard that's going to be literally hell to pay for whatever it is that you want to do. Because the state of mind that the tumor has is one which is able, the rabbinus call it the cholat muris. It changes the background picture, as it were. And you seem like, yo, man, it's totally cool. What's what's the big deal? It's fine. That enables you to go it. And the next step is esh mislakachas, means a self-taking fire, when a person's body is actually consumed with the fire of the taiva, which is self-taking, which is self-consuming. That's the power of the klipot tameot, which all the time wants to suck off the life force from the kedusha. But the thing is that it is not possible to be totally bad or totally good initially, primordially. There was a mixture. The minute that Adam Rishon ate from Etz Hadas Tovera, good and bad were mixed together. So there's no bad that is totally bad, and there's no good that is totally good per se. The thing is, what you can do is, if you consciously trying to do bad and bring yourself to bad, you will achieve the total bad. You know, in parenthesis, Hitler, Stalin, Attila the Hun, whatever you want. On the other hand, should you work upon yourself, which is what this story is all about, you are extricating the good from the bad and you become totally good. This is called Shlemus Loshon Kodesh. And this is what we're dealing with right now, as it says. Let's just take a quick look here. Hold on. I will share the screen. And we'll take a look. I believe that this is it. Okay. All right. Here we go. So it says on Erev Shabbat, this is what we said before. He says this is Loshon that the world was created. And he says because it is through Loshon Kodesh, that all the Lashonis Ha'amim noiflim and the Loshon Kodesh. In other words, that the Ra, the bad, that the Lashon, the language of that particular nation has, Neufel when it's battle, it falls and it gets cancelled out al Yedei Loshon Kodesh. It cannot control on Israel. This is as Lashon Neufel al Lashon. Initially, it means grammatically that it's that Ish and Isha This is euphemous, it's grammatically, phonetically, it comes one for the other. But over here, there's also another meaning that one language is falling through another. In other words, the Loshon Kodesh defeats the Loshon Akum, fall down and are being subdued through the Loshon Kodesh. And then he says, "V'zeh pchinas medura shel shivim kochavim." That's the flame of 70 stars, as the Zohar Kodesh says. And what is it? Ze'ara koilel she'utav eres medura shel tayves sniuf shekol hashivim omas klulim boy. Says this is the overall bad, one ring to bind them all, as it says by Tolkien. That's the common denominator of all the bad of all the languages, which is the flame of the taiva of niuf, of sexual immorality. And now we hold v'zeh. Now we're actually starting to share today. V'zeh b'chinos chashmal. This is bringing us to a notion of chashmal. Interestingly enough, those that invented the modern Hebrew decided that chashmal would be a good word to use for electricity. Needless to say, it has nothing to do with electricity. It's interesting why they picked that particular word, because there is certain attributes to the real chashmal, which you can understand why they decided, something, let's call this bzzz that goes, down the wires and make things go, we'll call it chashmal. Because chashmal is actually made out of two words, chash and mal. It's a very interesting conjugation. It's a very interesting coupling. Chash actually means being quiet. Shemen b'chashai, not saying anything. Mal is from the word milule. This is dibur. So you're talking about a silent talking. Very interesting, profound concept of silent talking, voiceless talking. So Chazal says, what is chashmal? Chashmal is chayos esh memalalois. Chash is chayos esh. Mal is memalalois. So when we're talking about chayos esh, the first, when we're opening up the Rosh Tevis of the acronym of Chash, you have Chava, Isha. Why do we call Chava? Why do we call her that name? Ki hi haisa em kol chai. She's the mother of all living. Chayos, living. Okay? So Chash, Chayos, Chava. Esh is Isha. That's what it says. Ish ve'isha. If dazocha shchina b'neim, if not esh b'neim. This is in a fire. It also parallels the four initial Yesodis basis ingredients for reality, which is Esh, Ruach, Maim, Ofa. Esh denotes human being. Esh denotes the Dibur. It denotes the speech. That heat is the speech. Chava Isha, Hainu Pchinas, Loshon Kodesh. That's a Loshon Kodesh that does what? She'al yodoi mismalel u'mishdaber esha medura shashivim kochavim. That's the tool with which that you ruin, you break to pieces, and you wreck, and you almost like melt and break to tiny pieces the fire of the flame of the 70 stars. That's the word, the part mal from the word chashmal, which is the medura shivim kochavim, because mem and lamed, mem in gematria is 40, and lamed is gematria is 30. Now those that have quick thinking can put 40 and 30 together And bada bim, bada boom. You have 70, right? So the mal is the medura shel shivim kechavim. Shemismala v'nisbata al de Loshon Kodesh. In other words, in the same word that denotes the 70 nations, the fire of the 70 nations, Rabbeinu is already mentioning the tool with which to break it, which is memalala, which is the milul, this is the dibur of the Loshon Kodesh. זה בחינת מדורה של 70 כוכבים, שנסמל ונסבט על ידי הלושן קודש. He says, כי על שם זה נקרא לושן קודש, the fact that it's called לושן קודש altogether, what's this in לושן קודש? Why is it called קודש? Because there's a principle. בכל מקום שאתה מוצא גדר ערווה, אתה מוצא קדושה. Any place where you find a fence that blocks off immorality, this is where you find kedusha. And Rabbeinu brings says that this is the reason you see in the Ruach Hakodesh in Rashi. Actually says Al ken yazov ish es ova v'imo v'dovak b'ishtoi. This is the reason why men will leave his father and his mother and will stick with his wife. Here we're talking about the primordial state where no shame existed yet, because there was no chet, there was no avera, there's no chet etadat tovera. A man was made to be with his wife. There's also a remez over here that your relationship with your wife is the way that for you to actually to be Muslim, the Loshon Kodesh. It says, so Chazal says, Rashi says, that's why a person will leave his father and mother and stick with his wife. Rashi says, Mikan shenesar lahem arayos. From here you see that immorality was forbidden to them. Rashi says, Ruach HaKodesh omer eschem. Al pi pshat. Rashi says, you know, who is saying that particular thing? You know, that's the reason why a person has to leave his mother and father and stick with their wife. Yeah, how does it come here? Who is saying this? Rashi says, Ruach HaKodesh is saying that. You know, the Torah is saying that. Ruach HaKodesh, but it's much more than that. Ruach HaKodesh, he says, is not only that that's the source of that sentence, but that's the state of the sentence. Ruach HaKodesh, Loshon Kodesh, Beruach Piv Kol Tzvaam, that it is through the Loshon Kodesh, it is through the tool of Loshon Kodesh, Nesel v'niskasher taiva shel taivas niyuf. This is how you jail, you harness the taiva taivas niyuf, the medura shel shivim kochavim, and it doesn't have a control over Israel, over Am Yisrael, through the Loshon Kodesh, b'vchinas Loshon Nofel al Loshon. So before we go weiter, I just want a little bit of a hold on just 1 second. Okay. There's a certain point that it's extremely important for us to realize. The situation between a person and his wife is the gateway to Shleimus Ruach HaKodesh, to Shleimus Loshon Kodesh, to the Shleimus of Hatzlacha in this world. And that's the reason why the relationship between a person and his wife are so sensitive. Your wife is the tool. That's why you have to get married, because until you get married, you're just half a body, you have an entity. And your wife is actually your mirror. There's no other person in the world that knows you the way your wife knows you. The only thing is she doesn't have the words to express it. She knows you much better than you know yourself. And the relationship between you and her is the basis of Jewish life. The main nakuda of Loshon Kodesh, the main nakuda of Kedusha, the main secret of Shlom Bayis, of relationship between a person and his wife, is when the person realizes that Lazosi Kare Isha Kemeish Lukachazos, she was taken from Ish. In other words, you are the one who's supposed to be the giver, and you're supposed to give to her. Yeah, it's always a give and take. It's always one gives to the other. Every a husband needs his wife, and the wife needs the husband. But basically, the responsibility of a man, as a man, is if he wants to perfect the shalom bayis between him and his wife, is when the person realizes that when his wife comes to him and she has a taina, she has a problem, she can come up to you in a way that seems to you as illogical. Like, man, I don't know what she wants from me. She tells you something that usually you have no answer to. You just feel very inadequate. Like she says, it's like we never talk. I believe we have to get up and just separate. We have to just forget about it. I've had enough. I'm going. And you're like, what am I going to do? What does she want? And as being a man, the big secret is that only men, males, and dogs are the two creatures that are able to look cute and stupid at the same time. That's the reason why our wives put up with us. So being that we are stupid as men, excuse me for saying that, I'm one of them, is we're trying to answer as a man. Okay, well, you want a reason? Okay, I'll give you a reason. What you said now, it doesn't measure up, because the reason that you're saying, just that's not a good reason. It's like what do you think, she's as stupid as you? She's not going to tell you exactly what it is that's bothering her, because then you're going to give her a logical reason what she's going to be with that, what she's going to do with that. That's not a problem. Her problem is that you're being a kid. You're being a taker instead of being a giver. Wow, that sounds wonderful. I mean, like a giver, a taker. Wow, that's amazing. How does one being a giver? I'm a perfectly born taker. I take all the time from everybody, from anybody. When anybody asks something from me, I got no. Wait a minute. Let me digest what you said. You want something from me? Are you serious? Let me think about it. Even if you're there, which I am, the thing is that when your wife comes to you and she comes to you with a tone that makes you feel extremely inadequate, being a giver does not mean giving her an answer, does not mean fixing it. Let me tell you something. She doesn't want you to fix anything. What she wants you to do, what she needs from you to do, what you need to do to be a giver is believe the cry of pain, the need that is being expressed. You don't necessarily have to believe the words. The words don't matter. There's a certain cry behind it. There's a shkoyach. By the way, everybody should know that we owe Avram the fact that we can actually have the shir, as one continuity without having to stop in the middle and restart it again. So everybody is to Avram. Now, the thing is that what you need to do as a giver is first of all, you have to accept the fact that you feel totally inadequate. You don't have the answers, and you feel like, uh-oh, I was found out to be a total failure as a husband, and you're willing to take it. You're willing to come and sit there with her, and she's talking to you, and she's throwing things at you, as it were, and you take it. Why do you take it? Because you believe that there's a pain in there. And the fact that you cannot you cannot make that pain go away, there is not a good enough reason for you to get up and just leave in a huff. Be a man, sit there, and even if you have no answers, you have nothing to make the situation any better, be a friend. Sit with her. Don't run away. Not physically, not emotionally, and not cerebrally. Don't think of different things. Think, where is this coming from? What is she really telling me? Well, she's telling me she's lonely, she's this, she's that, whatever it is that she's telling me, and there's nothing I can do because I'm too busy in my own puppet. Whatever it is, it's okay. I'm also me. I'm also allowed to be me. I cannot fix anything. And you'll notice an unbelievable magic. The minute you are willing to sit with her in the same hall where she is, feeling the way she does, and just be with her. I'm with you. I can't make it better. I don't know. I can't promise you, a fix. Up tomorrow, I'll wake up in the morning being just the same person as I am today. But I'm here with you, and I will listen to you. I'm with you. You'll be shocked. You'll be shocked as your wife suddenly will say, this is the best, deepest, most meaningful conversation we've ever had since we got married. And you go like, huh? Say again. I didn't say anything. I feel like a total yacht. I did not give you a good reason. I did not, I didn't solve anything. I didn't do anything that men do. You bring up the pliers and bring up the monkey wrench and you bring the screwdriver and you fix. I didn't do any of that. You don't need to do any of that. A giver means, what does the other one need? Be in a giving state. The ultimate nekuda of shmiras habris, of guarding, of the covenant, of being holy, is having no one ever accept your wife in your heart or in your head at any given moment. Shmiras bris is you have a bris, you have a covenant with your wife. There's nobody else except for her, not even in your dreams. I mean, how would she know? She will know. Because Bina Yeseret Nitna Beisha. Sometimes you can have all these, I don't know, things in your mind or whatnot, and your wife will come along and suddenly she's angry with you. You didn't say a word. What happened? We had such a great time before. Because you have broken the covenant in your mind. You didn't say a word. She didn't catch you surfing the net somewhere, Hashem Yirachem. She didn't catch you looking at anybody, Chas v'Chas. Nothing. And you were just projecting things in the movie in your own mind. She knows. That anger that she comes at you is your mirror. Chava, ki me'ish lukach hazois, she is your ladder to reach Shlemis Loshon Kodesh. It is the Loshon Kodesh, which is the Chashmal. It is Chayos Eish. It's your relationship with your wife, Chava Isha, that breaks down and cuts down from the share, from the root, the Medura Shivim Kachavim. It takes away. Now, the only way to actually reach it is not by listening, to this shear that I am saying. Say, okay, I got it done. All right, I'm all finished. I don't know why my microphone every once in a while takes a vacation. Apparently, I need to reach Shlemis Loshon Kodesh. The inner Shlemis and Kodesh is not just speaking Hebrew, obviously. Shlemis Loshon Kodesh is primarily avoiding Loshon Hara, avoiding foul speech, avoiding crude speech, avoiding oinos dvarim, saying things which will cause sorrow and pain to somebody else. I don't care if you say it in Spanish or in Kamchatkish, if there is such a language. It means that you don't joke on somebody else's cheshbon. I don't care how funny the joke is. And ultimately, it means talking between you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shlemus Loshon Kodesh was created. The Loshon Kodesh was created so you can talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That means you can talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in English, you can talk to him in French, in Swahili, and any other language on earth, which is your mother tongue. Talk to him, ask him to be what it is that you need to do. You need to be. As we will learn after we finish this of Chashma B'ezrat Hashem next week, that the whole process is taking place in that middle ground of Sfiras Noiga, between the Kedusha and the three totally defiled klipos. That place where it's mixed up, where black and white are intermingled, where you can say like, what happened? What just happened? It's one of the tools that we use in order to enable ourselves to fool ourselves and allow ourselves to do things we shouldn't do. We make ourselves stupid. B'ezrat Hashem, we're having a tremendous, tremendous, tremendous week coming here, which is the week of the Netzach. You know, the Netzach there's a mirror image between Tishrei and Nisan, except that in Tishrei it's a fast, it's a high speed process, whereas from Nisan to Shavuos is the same, like a low speed process. What happens from Rosh Hashanah, you get 10 days in which the Shefa comes from above between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. You have the 4 days from Rosh Hashanah, from Yom Kippur to Sukkot. That's the creation of the Malchus. And then you have Sukkot, which is the shape of the womb. Shmini Atzeres, this is when the pregnancy starts, Shotzez Satipa. In the 8 days of Sukkot, you raise the hand. Hold on. You can, well, if you want to talk, you can just unmute yourself. Okay, no problem. Avi, haven't seen him. Incredible. Baruch Hashem. So, in the very middle of Sukkot, which is the fourth day of Sukkot, you have the yahrzeit of the Saba de Sabim de Kedusha Rabbeinu HaKadosh Rabbi Nachman ben Feiga. This is when the shefa that comes from above, that comes from the Olam Esliyonim, comes into with the lulav. We shake it up and down, left and right, and forward and backwards. What we're doing is, the Arizal says, we're taking the light Orach Hasodim Shabadas and we're shining it into the Malchus, into the Esrog, which means we're taking the theory, the world in theory, in potential, the way it's going, the way it can be, as it comes down from above on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and in Sukkot it all becomes a fetus. It becomes a pregnancy. It's the time of the winter, the time of pregnancy. It all takes place in 7 days. Then the eighth day is Shmini Atzayas already. When Nisan starts, notice that Rosh Hashanah is called Brias Ha'olam, and Nisan is called the first month. There's an argument between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua. When was the world created? So Rabbi Eliezer said B'Tishrei, and Rabbi Yeshua says B'Nisan. Nisan, you have the same thing. In the initial Nisan, you had 10 days. Shabbos Hagala was the 10th day. You're supposed to tie the lamb to the leg of the bed 4 days before the Pesach. That's like the 4 days between Yom Kippur. Then you have Pesach. And then you start counting. What do? You don't shake, the lulav with all the daled minim, bringing shefa from above down with the most spiritual plants on earth, which is the daled minim. But you're using barley, which is a food of behema. And you lift it again up and down, and left and right and forward and backwards. What you're doing now, but not 7 days, but 7 weeks, is you are taking the gashmis, the physicality, and you elevate it up to the kedusha, towards Shavuos. So to bring it down takes 7 days. To bring it up takes 7 weeks, because you're supposed to do the work. And every single day of the Sphira puts you in a different kind of state of mind. One day you feel like, whoa, man, I feel like a new King Kong, man. Unbelievable. I'm going to go ahead and just paint the town red. I was like, unbelievable, man. Just watch me out. I'll be the man. And the next day, I feel so broken to pieces that I don't know what to do with myself. It's okay. The idea is that every single sphere means that you are like on a sphere, because the 7 directions that you lift up, the lulav and the oimer, talks about up and down and left and right and forward. That's the dimensions of space. When you go into middle dimensions, you have 49, you have 7, you have 6 directions, and the middle, which is the 7th, which is you. 7 times 7 means that you're supposed to be turned any which way. Up, down, left, right, good day, bad day, horrible day, unbelievable day, a day that you think you're going to kill everybody that moves, a day which you think everybody is my friend, and then nobody will ever talk to me ever, ever, ever again. And every week, every single day of those days, you find a way to talk to Kodesh Baruch Hu from that day. That's the perfection of Loshon Kodesh. The middle day of the Sphira, of the 49 days, is the 25th day of the Sphira, right? Tonight we counted 22. In 3 days, it's going to be Netzach de Netzach. That's Rabbeinu Kodesh said, Nitzachti v'anatzeach. That's the Sphira of Rabbeinu. Because in the menorah, which has, 4 kanim or 3 kanim, you need to have the middle one. It is before, Yemino Smalo Benayu Kala. You see that the tzaddikim have planted themselves right smack in the middle. From the beginning of Chodesh Av to Tisha B'Av, the middle is Hei Be'av. That's the Yotzot of Arizal. He is the tikkun of the Chol B'Mesa Mikdash. Rabbeinu HaKodesh is the tikkun of the conception in Sukkot when he passed away in the Yotzeit, and of the Sphira, the 25th day of the Sphira. Well, this is a great, great week. It's a very auspicious week to open up your mouth and speak to Kodesh Baruch Hu and beg him to bring you close to him, to be able to deal with your wife, to be able to deal with yourself, to perfect the Loshon Kodesh. Let's just open up the mic and hold on. Let's unmute all. If anybody wants to, anybody has anything they want to say, anything they have
It's a wonderful share. You've clarified a lot of things.
Thank you so much, Tati.
Oh Hashem, listen, guys, I hope that just 1 second.
Just a minute. I'm gonna come play. Let's finish this here.
Okay.
I'm gonna come play with this, my boy. Okay.
Is it a weird yellow? Yeah? Is it a weird yellow?
No.
You muted yourself, Tati.
Yeah, I know. No, I didn't mute myself. It just went off. Okay, so what we're going to do, due to popular demand, as it were, we are changing the shiur of Motzei Shabbos and Monday night, which means on Motzei Shabbos we're going to have Sichos Haran, and Monday night we're going to have Sipurei Maisis. Because Sipurei Maisis is a little deeper, is a little more, murkav, as it were.
Yeah, and my friends in America want to hear it, and they've been complaining that it goes on Motzei Shabbos, not on Mondays.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Now, also, we're going to have a recording of this shiur. In audio. There's also a video, but what do you care about video? See my face, seen it enough. So if anybody who wants it, I will send it. Actually, I'll have to upload it and then send email with it because it's too big. We'll see what to do.
What we can, Patty, what we can do is we can create a WhatsApp group, and if you can forward me the numbers, and we can upload the audio and video file every day to the WhatsApp group of this year, if you want.
But the video share of the WhatsApp group is huge. I mean, the video is
use
like
Format Factory, and I can make it smaller. I can go and condense it to a smaller file.
If I may say, the best solution will be to use Telegram, which you can transfer larger files.
really.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also you can the huge files, and it also doesn't have to go into your
Right.
device. Once
Right.
you upload it to the server, it's going to be there for whoever wants to download it.
True.
Okay, that's the one that Putin likes, right? Is the one that he's.
Yes, and you're the Magachu that likes Putin, so
Yeah.
that's what it works.
That makes two of us.
Chevra, thank you so very much. Thank you so much. Bezat Hashem, we'll see you.
I have Romy.
See you, Moshe Shabbos. Bezat Hashem. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Avrams here.
Wow.
Rabbeinu says, in Echad Avram, we have 4. Check it out, man.
Great seeing you, Pinchas.
Atzloch Rav, Kol Tov. Nice to see you, Avi.
Thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful shir.
Oh, Bezat Hashem, happy to see you
I'm
again.
looking forward for the video because I want to show it to my wife.
You want the video? So the video I have to upload it to YouTube.
Okay, and the audio.
The audio can be done much quicker.
Okay, good.
Okay, I don't need to record all this, obviously.